discrimination.
That's right. When someone walks into, for example, a rental place and says, I see that you have units for rent, and the person that wants to rent is in a group that the person renting does not really want to live there. They may be very polite. They may go, oh, sure. That, they may show a person a unit and go like, well, we have someone looking at this. We only have one left, And so they're like, and I'll need to do a credit check and all this kind of stuff. And you call back and it's been rented. So they're very polite. I mean, they're not like going, get out of here. We don't like you. Yeah. They're not blatant. It's not a blatant thing. They may be uncomfortable, but you may perceive that for different reasons. But, for example, someone like me could walk in and they're like, oh, we have 7 units. Oh, no. I don't need to check your credit. You work somewhere. And that right there is that disparate treatment.
Right. Because they should be asking everybody the same thing.
Ask the same thing. For example, you can assume I don't have good credit. You can assume I have great credit. But what happens if I get that apartment and really I don't have great credit? Yeah. And I abscond, and leave and don't pay my rent for 3 months. So you see, the fact is when you make assumptions, you really do damage yourselves when you make assumptions, whether it's in housing or employment or even access for people to any kind of public accommodation.
Right, right. I guess the important thing for folks to remember about housing discrimination is if you get a kind of, I tell people it's a gut feeling.
Yeah.
If you got a kind of a gut feeling that it's not exactly right.
Right.
Get some advice about, get some help to determine about whether you're being discriminated against, because it's your home.
That's right. If you're looking for a place to live, and those things are very sacrosanct to us, we need places to live, and you've been struggling, you've got a certain amount of money you can pay if you're looking for a rental, for example. This is what I can afford to pay. And sometimes that's very limiting because we know affordable housing is not at the forefront of the world.
Unfortunately, yes.
It's not. It's like we have a lot of big, beautiful condo buildings and big, beautiful apartment buildings that cost $1,500 a month, and many people can't afford that. Absolutely. Many people can't afford that, and so they're very limited. I can afford this, therefore I can only live in certain parts of town that have apartments this cost. And so when you go in there and the person that's in the office decides they don't even need any more of your group in there, you've now been eliminated from a place to live. And we usually can tell if we're kind of dismissed or if something's odd about the way.
Given the bum's rush, as they say.
That's right. And sometimes we may give people the benefit of the doubt and go like, I know they're busy, or yeah, I'm sure people are trying to get apartments. People are losing their homes, so they have to rent somewhere. So maybe there are less apartments open. But if you get that weird feeling, give us a call, because what we can do is at least check with that. We can do some figure out if that's what's going on, because if it's happening to you, it's happening to other people. It's
Absolutely.
Not just you.
And the call is free.
The call is free. You can come by and see us at our office at 6 St. Paul Street at the ninth floor. We're in the Schaefer Tower. You can write to us at the same address. You can email us.
21201?
21202.
21202.
21202. You can come by and see us. You can email us. You can write to us. You can call us. We take complaints all different ways, and you'll talk with an intake officer, and they will assess it. They will begin to assess it and go, okay, this sounds like this is something that we would cover, because if we don't cover it, we will try to refer you to another place that does. For example, a county agency that might. Or another, if it's license and labor, it might go there. It might have to do with, I'm not being paid right. Well, that really is more labor and licensing than what we do.
Yeah, yeah. Let's talk about, and we just have a few minutes left.
Okay.
Wanted to ask you, what kind of cases do you most see right now?
Well, of course, we still have, we need to see more housing cases. But I think we still get a large number of employment cases, and housing and employment are two largest. Mm-hmm. Of course, we have a continual disability with access all the time. But
such as to a parking space or
parking spaces,
condominium
associations. Mm-hmm. It could be restaurants. It could be stores. Mm. I remember when I broke my leg, I was working for the agency when I broke my leg, and trying to get into one of the local drugstores.
Can be impossible.
It is, because the doors don't open automatically, and I was on crutches, and I have to open these two heavy doors, hobble into a vestibule, and open another set of doors, and then between the metal detectors, and then try to get down the aisles that have end caps that overlap. And there are things sitting in the aisle to sell. And that's always been a complaint.
It's discouraging people with disabilities from being customers.
That's right. And a lot
Finally.
of large stores have really widened aisles.
Good for them.
I mean, I was up in a large, like a Walmart, and the aisles are very, very wide. And it makes sense because if you're doing carts carrying merchandise, people in wheelchairs, people in shopping carts, you need to have them those kind of widths, you know, so that people can get through. And that's a lot of complaints. But really, you know, we're still seeing employment. We're still seeing a lot of employment cases. And I'm more afraid that it's going to start to go down because of that fear of losing their job and downsizing.
What a shame. What a shame. So for folks watching today, let's make sure that you get the message that don't take it. Don't take it. You don't have rights. I tell folks you don't have rights unless you use them.
That's right.
And no one should have to lose out on a promotion or get fired or go through or not get the apartment you need or pay more for a mortgage solely because of
or have access to a grocery store or department store. You know, so they can.
If you can't afford it, you can't afford it. If you don't have the money, you don't have the money.
If you're not qualified, you're not qualified.
Not qualified, you're not qualified. But if you are, and if you have the money, and if you have the credit, then you deserve equal treatment.
That's right, and I think that's the message, that if you think, you know, and also for employers is the fact that there are people who do make false allegations, and our job there is also to stop that.
Absolutely.
You know, because people do think, oh, they see cash cows in a lot of different places. They think if I hurt myself, you know, if they perceive a slight when it might not be a true slight, and they think they can get rich. You can't get rich through our agency. That's not what it's set up for.
Yeah.
It's set up to protect, you know, people that live, work, and visit in the state of Maryland, and people who own housing. It protects them as well because the law says this is the level. If you did not do that, then it's not illegal. But if you did it, it is illegal. You know, it's a protection on both sides. And a lot of times people think that we're anti-business, but no, we want good business. We want good business practices, and I think good businesses want that too. They want their employees to feel safe.
Absolutely.
They do.
Absolutely. We're about out of time, Keith. Could you give us that contact information one more time?
Sure.
Please?
You can give us a call. Our main line is 410-767-8600. That comes to our main office. We also have a 1-800 line, which is 1-800-637-6247. You can call me directly, 410-767-8560, or our website, www.mchr.state.md.us.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Keith.
Thank you.
For Living in Baltimore, that's all we have time for today. I want to thank our guest, Mr. Keith Merkey, who's a human relations representative for the Maryland Commission on Human Relations. Thank you, Keith.
Thank you.
Thanks for giving us an update on things, and come back again.
Oh, I sure
Come
will.
back again, because this is important stuff, and we need to do something about it.
Oh, definitely.
And you folks are in the front line of trying to do it, so keep up your good work for all of us.
Thank you. Thank you.
For Living in Baltimore, I want to thank you for tuning in. Let's try to be a good neighbor out there in all of our neighborhoods, and we'll see you next time.